Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where news about Disney's upcoming live-action Beauty and the Beast continues to trickle out of Entertainment Weekly, which means, as we discussed yesterday, that a first full trailer, is very, very close. It's a little bit too late this week for it to come out. It might come out next week to coincide with this Entertainment Weekly issue, but it'll definitely come out by the time Moana hits theaters at the end of the month for Thanksgiving. Because as we've discussed before, it's just perfect synergy in the demographics for both movies. I mean, the person who likes Moana is most likely going to be interested in Beauty and the Beast live action. Although Disney, of course, would hope that both were four-quadrant movies. Do you remember what a four-quadrant movie is? It's where it appeals to every, the main demographics, men, women of all different ages, right? Okay, so anyway, there's a little bit of new information, and I decided to discuss it here in Morning Movie News because yesterday we covered the new photos in two videos on the main Beyond the Trailer channel. Because again, they're trickling out this stuff instead of just like a one-time blitz. I think this constitutes a blitz to some degree. But again, I think the whole thing's very oddly handled because they're stepping on their Doctor Strange conversation. The internet only really talks about one thing at a time, and yesterday they made it Beauty and the Beast Day, but I think they should have done something Marvel related to keep everybody in the mood for Doctor Strange. That's what I meant when I discussed that yesterday. But anyway, the latest bit of news from Entertainment Weekly that some of you tweeted to me is that they have a new backstory for Belle, and that she's not just a reader, but she's now also an inventor. She's actually going to be the inventor of the family, as her father Maurice, for this version, has been turned into a music box maker. So they're both tinkerers, but true to form, Belle is trying to innovate and do different things, not go with the group, so to speak. So the idea is that something's happened to her mother, tragically, that's why she's not around. So her father's very protective. So instead of taking his daughter traveling to see the world, he shows it to her through music boxes, right? Which is very sweet, but also I feel a little misguided. I mean, either we're traveling or we're not, right? I mean, don't make someone feel bad about it. You know where you could go, but I'm never going to let you? Voila! I made it into a music box. But anyway, I like this thing about Belle, though. The idea is that she's an inventor, and as they say, necessity is the mother of all invention. So Belle loves to read. That's how she escapes and is able to travel. And I know that's something I even picked up from the photo yesterday when I was reviewing it. So good visual storytelling, Beauty and the Beast team, because some of this stuff was clear from the photos even before it was confirmed by this article. But she wants to read. She needs more time to read, but she's got her chores. So she builds and creates a washing machine so that she can have more time to read. I think that's great. I really like this one. I recently rewatched the animated movie, as I discussed yesterday, because they released a new edition to get everybody in the mood for this upcoming live-action version. I was like, it really sucks that Belle, as they said in this article, what does she do with her day? What does Belle do all day? She can't read constantly, like 24/7. That would be a little weird, right? I mean, she could be an avid reader, and I read quite a bit myself, but she has to do other things, right? So it's like, what does she do with her time? She can't just, sing, read, and go to market, right? And watch her father do stuff. So I think this is a really strong idea. I really like her being an inventor. She and Tinkerbell perhaps someday can work on something together because they turned Tinkerbell into a tinkerer, which I think was a clever idea. And I just think it makes Belle an even stronger role model because while I think it's great to read, I think it's important to not just read, but to do. Reading is a very passive activity. Reading should inspire you to do things, to think about things. Reading should inspire activity, action. So I love that she is an inventor. And I hope that that's used throughout the story. I hope it isn't just used in the beginning, and then when she meets a guy, she's like, whoo, don't have to do that anymore. Thank goodness. I would like to see her be like, hey, I'm going to build some stuff around the castle. That would be awesome. She's like, I'm going to build something to keep these petals on the flower, and then we can take our time with this relationship and see where this crazy thing goes. All right, so anyway, I never thought of that. That's a great way to speed up a relationship. I've got this enchanted rose, and I'm going to basically kind of die if you don't fall in love with me and tell me you love me. And you're like, wow, that's a lot of pressure, man. All right, so anyway, that's the first story of the day, and I'm curious, do you think this is a positive change? I saw some people complain in the comment section for this story on Entertainment Weekly. They have their thing in their comment section out of Facebook, which I feel is not good, well, awkward. But I'm not a big Facebook fan, actually. Twitter forever! I hope it doesn't go out of business. But some people were like, I can't believe you took away Maurice being an inventor. And it's like, I don't think it's necessary for the story for him to be an inventor. I will be curious as to how they get him out of the house to go discover the Beast Castle now. Maybe he's going to go around selling music boxes. Maybe he's going to the music box convention. I don't know. But I think this works fine. And I think that children often do follow in their parents' footsteps professionally, especially in this period, learn a trade. And she just is building on that trade by going from just being a music box builder to an inventor. So I think it fits really well without diminishing the character of Maurice at all. I actually like the idea of him being perhaps a little bit more of a responsible father. All right, so anyway, that's the first story of the day. The second story of the day is that this is another story that was sent to me, I believe, by BTT viewer Nicholas Yanes, and this is a small little interview that Greg Silverman from Warner Brothers did at like some variety conference, which has surfaced on the web. So thank you, Nick, for sending this to me. And so who's Greg Silverman? Well, Greg Silverman is the president of creative development and worldwide production at Warner Brothers. So he helps come up with what movies they're going to make over there, right? So he said that one of the reasons that he feels that Suicide Squad was so successful financially was the diversity. He said, not only do we have black leads, multiple black leads, but we had a Latino character as well. And I think it's great that they've recognized how popular, El Diablo was. I think that's great. I mean, I know a number of you loved him. I'm seeing some love for him in the comic book space, and I'll be interested to see what they decide to do with that character. He could technically be brought back, because he's like part god, right? So anyway, I thought that was interesting that they recognized that not only the diversity was there, but the breadth of the diversity. So it'll be interesting to see if they not only continue to apply this to comic book movies, but also other movies in general that they're making over at Warner Brothers. And that does indeed seem to be the case, because one of the most diverse movies on the horizon is Kong Skull Island. You look at that trailer, it's just a marvel to behold. The cast is extremely well built, because it's diverse, but without skewing in any direction. You're not like, oh, this is too diverse, or this is just tokenism. Like, everyone's represented, in multiple ethnicities. They even have Jing Tian from China there. And everybody seems to have like a legit role, right? But without overshadowing, not making it seem like they've, kicked out white people, to be perfectly honest. There's a real struggle going on with representation and ethnicity, etc. There's a fascinating article in the New York Times about that, actually. I'll put a link down below to it in the video description, because talking about some white people are upset that they're like not the de facto main ethnicity anymore. I mean, it's just the nature of the way things are going, and I'm very in favor of a free competitive society. I think women sometimes don't realize that they are also, this has got very political, but women also need to realize that, I think sometimes women don't realize that they are also kind of like, I feel that there's a similarity into being handicapped in, the de facto-ness, right? But anyway, it's an interesting article, and I think that a movie like Kong Skull Island or Suicide Squad is really like a great representation of where we'd like to go, where everybody's represented equally, right? No pendulum effect, and I think that's fabulous. But I hope that Kong Skull Island does really well, and I think that credit should really go to Vin Diesel and his Fast and Furious movies, because he's the one who started all this. Those movies made so much money while being wonderfully diverse, getting a huge group of different demographics in to support the films, and he continues to do so. The cast for Fast 8 is incredibly diverse, very strong, and also very well balanced. So just absolutely fabulous. I think this is very exciting, and I think this is the way. This is the path to walk, and at least Warner Brothers is getting one thing right? Okay. Although I think Kong Skull Island looks like such a good movie. All right. So anyway. Let's see here. I don't actually, come to think of it, the two leads are supposed to be Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston, but the trailer doesn't make that seem to be the case at all. So we'll see how the actual movie plays out. But then the third story of the day is that 2 new directors are getting work. And I'm so happy for both of them. The first is Gareth Evans. Oh boy! Now, let's not get too excited. He had to self-generate work yet again, because I don't know why nobody's hiring Gareth Evans. I don't know if he's the problem. I don't know if Hollywood's the problem. I don't understand why this man's phone isn't ringing off the hook. Franchises are so desperate for filmmakers. He did such a good job with The Raid. He not only then delivered again with The Raid 2, but stepped up his game from a filmmaking, cinematography perspective, I'm just really shocked that he can't get any work. It's just amazing to me. So he's going to try again with a movie called Apostle. At least he's still working. And this is, I believe this is also Indonesian based. That's the only place he seems to have any inroads. Hopefully this will lead to him getting an inroad into Hollywood finally. But it's a period piece. They don't specify the period, but it's a man goes to a remote island to rescue his sister from a cult. It seems part action-y, part horror maybe. I don't know. That doesn't seem like the right direction to me. I think that Gareth Evans needs to generate work for himself that's Hollywood friendly, but maybe the movie will do really well. I don't know. I hope so. I really love Gareth Evans as a filmmaker, and it's a good reminder and a scary reminder that just because you make a good movie doesn't mean that Hollywood's gonna call you up. It's so terrifying. Why won't you call him? Oh, but they are calling Fede Alvarez. I know a number of you really loved Don't Breathe, and he was also, of course, behind the Evil Dead remake a few years ago. But he's getting the call up to the big leagues in a very interesting project that I actually think is a perfect fit for him, and that is the new Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movie. Now, they're not going to do the rest of the story because it didn't turn out so well. Obviously, David Fincher now is clearly not returning, and I bet Daniel Craig won't return either. I don't know if Rooney Mara will. We'll see. I would actually be tempted to replace her because just start totally fresh, right? And I have a theory on who Fede Alvarez will hire anyway, which I think anybody would guess considering the 2 films he's made. But anyway, first off, they're going to skip to the 4th book in the series, The Girl in the Spiderweb, and just try to move forward as best they can with, I would imagine, a much smaller budget. But that's okay. Fede Alvarez is used to working with a small budget. He's also used to working with Jane Levy, who's been in both of his films so far as the female lead. So I would imagine that she would probably be the front runner to play, the new Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. But what's really great about this movie is that Scott Rudin is producing it. Scott Rudin's actually worked a couple of times, at least once I know, with Sam Raimi, who has worked with Fede Alvarez on both of those 2 horror movies that he's made. So maybe Sam Raimi recommended him to Scott Rudin, which is a good recommendation, I think. I think Fede Alvarez is a little bit too quirky for me. He puts some really disturbing sexual things in his movies, but that makes him a perfect fit with the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo franchise, right? I mean, and also he has promoted strong female leads. So I have to say, even though I personally am not a fan of his films, I haven't seen actually both of them. They just seem too creepy to me. But they did very well. And I have to say, from a producing standpoint, I'd be like, give me Fede Alvarez and Jane Levy together again, and let's put them in the big leagues and see what they can do. I'd be excited about it. I think it's a case of really good matching of talent to material. Very impressive. I guess they have to find something for Gareth Evans, but I think Gareth Evans has versatility. We'll see. So the viewer question today comes from Mal from London. Hello, Mal. So Mal says, question. Hi, Grace. Do you know when the Golden Globe nominations come out? And do you have any hunches about which actors, technicians, and films are going to get a nod? Thanks for all your videos, as always. Smiley face. Great question, Mal. We're so talking about award season. We've been discussing it here and there, but it's coming up for reals, right? And the Golden Globes nominations always come out first, and this year they will be on December 12th. So mark your calendars. I'll, of course, be covering them when they do drop. But as for the frontrunners, at one point, again, it was The Birth of a Nation, but I think at this point, especially how it did at the box office, I wouldn't expect it really to have any presence at all this award season. So I feel the 2 frontrunners are La La Land and Fences. I think those are going to be your 2 big, slam dunks that are going to be nominated probably across the board. I hope this doesn't develop into the white movie versus the black movie. I hope everybody just celebrates film in general, but I do have some concern that might develop after 2 years or 2 years of Oscars So White. I also feel the other shoe-in is Jackie. I don't know how many categories, but probably for Natalie Portman as Best Actress. I think you can really bet on that. Everything else, though, I think is up for grabs. There's movies like Moonlight, of course, Hidden Figures. A lot of other movies. Matthew McConaughey's Gold. There are other films in contention. Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk from Ang Lee. They're going to try and get in there. But I think that those La La Land and Fences and Jackie, just for that one category, Best Actress, are the only real shoo-ins at this point. It's really, anybody's game and anybody's guess at this point for the other films. But it'll be very interesting to see the Golden Globes. Even though the Hollywood Foreign Press Association members are the only ones who can vote, they're pretty good at predicting, who's going to, be a front runner in the other awards, ceremonies from Oscars to SAG, etc. So it'll be very telling indeed to see who gets nominated there. But you'll also get an idea when you start seeing the critics lists of the best movies of the year pop up. So we'll start to very soon see a couple movies break out along with La La Land and Fences as frontrunners. But I don't know. La La Land, the more trailers I see, the more I see the trailer, I'm like, this looks like maybe painful to sit through. I'm not a big musical theater fan, but Fences looks really good. And so, but I hear so many great things about La La Land. It must be good, right? All right. So anyway, Mal, I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Please write down below, I think, today's top 3 stories, Mal's viewer question, anything you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching. Bye.